post it as an event to maybe get more people to sort of be able to put it on their calendar or know in advance. So I want to, first of all, just talk to you about the Tuesday night event. As probably most of you know by now, I did do a live on Tuesday night with an actual kidnapping of a 4-week-old baby by the Davidson County Department of Children's Services, Tennessee Department of Children's Services. That's baby Lucy. That video was passed all the way around the world, which I'm very excited about. We now have over 150,000 views on it. And I have gotten people comment on it from Australia, New Zealand, all across the country. I've personally shared that video with several legislators and other activists. And yeah, please share if y'all can share it. A few people I've posted just some general updates. So here is, and I want to back up just a little bit. Hold on a second. Excuse me. Excuse me. Go in the other room, please. Thank you. Sorry. I told you I had a local audience today, which I try to avoid so we don't have too much interference. But so this is a targeted family. I'm just going to tell you it's a targeted family. If you don't know about the targeting that goes on with CPS, then you need to become aware of it, because once somebody has their name in the system, then they will continue to be in the system just over and over and over and over and over. And I even think that DCS social workers call in and make referrals to be able to keep people in the system. I've seen it happen. And I'm just going to tell you a little short story about that. So I represented a mom in East Tennessee, and she had a medical kidnap of her preemie baby, who was 5 months old at the time and had fractured ribs. And if y'all don't know the fractured rib story, I mean, that is a big medical kidnapping scam that's going on. So they she was pregnant at the time. And so by the time I got into that case, it had already developed, several things were going on. And she was pregnant, and she kept saying, "Are they going to take my baby? Are they going to take my baby?" And they wouldn't tell her. They wouldn't tell her. And so they show up. Of course, her baby's 4 days old, and they take her baby. And the only way that could have happened is if a social worker made a referral and came and take her baby from that referral. So that happens. So families are targeted all the time. They're targeted. So if you've been targeted, you better buckle in, man, because it is going to be a steep ride. It is going to be a roller coaster ride like you never experienced. So when they... So the case on Tuesday was somebody who was already a client of mine, which is how I found out what was going on. And so they contacted me earlier in the day and said that DCS was harassing them. And of course, I was busy doing other things. I'm always triaging a number of events that are going on. And I just said, kind of, we were texting back and forth. I said, keep me posted on what's going on. And then a little bit later, he's like, we have to turn over the baby. And I was not getting real clear information. And then he was like, we're waiting for DCS to come and pick up the baby. And then I'm like, well, why don't you just leave? And he's like, the police have us blocked in. And 2 hours later, he messaged me and he said, we're still here. What should we do? And here we are. It's 11 o'clock at night. And, I'm all cozy in my bed, and I live in Tennessee in Central Daylight Time. And I was tucked in and ready to snooze for the rest of the night. And it just tugged at me. I needed to go, and I needed to document what was going on. And I didn't know what was going to happen, folks. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't know if I would walk out of there and be arrested. I didn't know if my client would be arrested. I didn't know if the mom would be arrested. I mean, it's pretty tenuous. And I'm saying this for the benefit, I have a few haters out there, and God bless you. You have the right to your opinion. But I would not get up and go do what I did if I didn't have a real sense of trying to care, and trying to help families, and trying to help babies, and trying to help people. So, and I think I saw some of those comments come up when I was doing the live, and I was finally like, look, y'all if you think that I'm doing this for some other reason, then y'all just need to get off. You just need to get away from us. You just need to leave Family Forward Project. You just need to go someplace else, find yourself some other mission or some other cause. And, so just forget it. I'm not going to deal with you. I'm not going to give you any airtime. So I went there, turned my camera on, told myself I needed to stay very calm because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't want anybody tased. I didn't want anybody arrested. I know as prosecutor, failure to, wait a minute, it's resistance of a lawful order of a police officer is a misdemeanor crime that they can lock you up for right then. And a lawful order of a police officer is a pretty vague term. So, so I knew it was a tenuous situation. Okay, we could have all been in jail that night. So that's why you see me walking up to the police officers very calm. Oh, thank you, Catherine, very much. But I walked up to him very calm, but I did ask him, I'm like, why are you holding these people? What are we doing here? And, you know, and I kind of feel sorry for at least two of these officers. They were very young. They didn't know what was going on. They only had an office phone number for DCS. They didn't even know what the reference was. They had nobody to contact or follow up. They're just hanging out there. And then there's a shift change at 11 o'clock. And so then we have a change of somebody else coming on. And you will all notice, though, when you watch the video, as soon as I got there and started walking up with the camera, they all got on the phone. Every one of those police officers, when I got there, got on the phone to call somebody. And the one police officer, if you notice, the one I go up and I go like, and I like tap on his window, he did not even want to roll down his window to talk to me. So, but I was very calm with them, but they didn't know why they were there. And then finally, when we started talking about who it is, and they mentioned a name of Kim White, I'm like, I just remembered I just had a case with her in Davidson County like a week ago. So I'm like, she's probably in my cell phone. So that's when I called her up. So but here is a critical thing about this. This is so important. This is like the height of the critical thing. That was on a Tuesday. On the Friday before, DCS had come to the house, the mother's house, done a drug screen, left the child there, told her she was fine with the drug screen, told the mother on Friday she was going to close the case on Monday. That's what this mother was told. They entered into like a little safety plan, which basically a mother agreed, if you need to come by and drug test me, whatever, because this mother knew about DCS already. So they had done that on Friday. And then on Monday, they call her up and they go, no, we're going to, you need a safety placement. And she's like, why do I need a safety placement? And then she says, but if I do need a safety placement, my mother lives in town. And so she had already put them on notice. They already knew, Family First Act, kinship care, Tennessee state law, DCS policy, you always try to place with the relative first. And instead of doing that, they went and got a removal order. Now, let me tell you about this removal order. You need to understand the nitty-gritty of this. So I had not even seen it at that point. But when we get there, this removal order says right at the top of it, non-exigent removal order. Now, remember, this is ex parte. A lot of you already know what ex parte means, but for those of you who don't, ex parte means one person only goes and gets the order. It's so horrible. There are so many due process violations with an ex parte order, but it means they go to the court and they get an order and you don't even get a hearing. You don't even get a right to be heard. This is so un-American. It's just so un-American. And this one says that it's non-exigent. It's non-exigent and sets a hearing off for 3 days later. No. This is a constitutional, procedural, and substantive due process violation, hands down. Hands down. Not only for the mother, but for the baby. It is a Fourth Amendment violation of unlawful seizure of this baby. And Lucy's going to get a federal court case before she has her first tooth. I'm just telling you. Lucy's going to be a plaintiff before she has her first tooth, all right? Because this is ridiculous, ridiculous. They put her in this, they break the law by putting her in a toddler car seat, which could have asphyxiated her, take her off breast milk, cold turkey her on Similac, and, made her stomach upset. And it took until Friday. So we have Tuesday night, we have Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday afternoon, before they got that baby to Grandma's house. And then they put all these restrictions on Grandma, like you can't give her breast milk, Mother can't spend the night, Dad can't even come over. and nobody else can be in the house. I mean, they like make her like a prisoner in her own house and force her to do, but she's like, okay, whatever, because we're not sending this baby to foster care because we will never see her again. And her name won't be Lucy, it'll be something else by the time they get done with her. So no. I sent that video. I mean, we had lots of people watching that video. I just kept watching the numbers go up and up and up and up. By morning, it was like 18,000 people. By noon, it was like 35,000 people. By 6 o'clock, it was like 70,000 people. And it is over 150,000 people. And I put it on YouTube. And, you know, and most of the people that follow me are through the Facebook, but I do put everything up on YouTube because it's easier to find, and you can find all my videos on my channel on YouTube. And I don't have that many subscribers there. I had like 200 subscribers, but within 24 hours, it was 1,000. So it is so important. Be loud, tell the story. Wait a minute, why wasn't Grandma, oh yes, thank you for asking that, Kimberly. Why wasn't Grandma able to take her at the scene? We told them right there, we have Grandma right here. Why can't they take her? Nope, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. The DCS worker would not do it. And they do it all the time. They do it all the time. Just like with his other child, they put it in the care of a relative, and they didn't, right then and there, they didn't even put the child in foster care. So they certainly have the ability to do it. I mean, I have, and I was just, am trying to get myself on more and more forums, because there are a lot of people who are coming out who are having different radio shows, audio shows, etc. There is a podcast, YouTube, that's out called, I think it's Northwest Liberty News, and I just called in there earlier today and told them about it too, because I'm going to keep telling this story over and over and over. So, all right, so let me finish up. So that's Tuesday night. We asked where they were taking the child. We asked to be able to deliver breast milk. No and no, could not know. And then I did find out later that it took them about an hour and a half before they even had a place to take the baby. Like an hour and a half. This baby is out in a car for an hour and a half. No food. This is a baby who eats every 2 hours, okay? No food. Mama asked to breastfeed her before they went. No, wouldn't let her do it. She wanted to get out of there. So, you know, it's, so anyway, then, so they set the court date on Thursday, which is really inconvenient because that was in Davidson County, and the dad, the father, Lucy's father, was fighting for his other kid with DCS in another county, in Hickman County. And so we had to have a trial in Hickman County, and they did that on purpose so that I would continue the trial in Hickman County. Now, I'm going to tell you, they follow my videos, and they'll be going like, we didn't do that on purpose. She's saying we did that on purpose. Yeah, I know. Okay, go ahead, because you know what? When I got to Hickman County and we're doing a trial on a totally different child, all they could talk about was the video that I did on Tuesday night, trying to make a big deal about the video. And I said, you know what, Judge? The best evidence is the video. Why don't you just watch it? It's 40 minutes long while they take this 4-week-old baby and force her into a toddler seat and rip her away from the parents. He didn't want to watch it. He didn't want to watch it. No, but there's a lot of people who have watched it. A lot of people. I mean, I have some people that all across this country have different connections to people. They've sent it to some senators, some Congress people. I mean, we're going to stay in their face. And we all know that right now, they're like all so overwhelmed with election mess and chaos that we're not getting anything, but it doesn't matter. We have to keep throwing it in their face because this is real and it's every day. And 22 kids a day are taken in just in the state of Tennessee every day. Just in Tennessee. And across this country, it's like 1,400 kids every day. And, you know, and God bless them, I'll say, you know, they talk about veteran suicide, and admittedly, it is a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing, but they say 22 veterans a day commit suicide. 22 kids a day are taken in the state of Tennessee. And a lot of those kids never return home, and they're not emergencies. This was an order that said it was a non-exigent removal order. I'm like, what the hell is that? What is that? I mean, this is not American jurisprudence. This is not American jurisprudence. A non-emergency removal order? And a judge signed it? Clearly that's crazy. Okay, so I'm jumping all over a little bit, but I mean, these things just hit me and I want you to know about it. And I'm going to go back a minute to the Hickman County case that I had with the dad on another child, because in that case, they got a removal order signed by a clerk. The clerk signed the judge's name. I have never seen that either. I'm like shaking my head going, what is going on? That is so wrong. That is, and he didn't have notice either. And so that, I think the judge has probably set herself up for a liability, because that is an administrative act for her to give away the rights of her signature to a clerk. There is no such thing as a clerk signing an order for a judge. And you know, these federal court cases, you have to go to federal court to carve out your rights. So out of, you know, only 10% of the cases that go in for civil rights ever get to jury, because of all the immunities and dismissals and summary judgments and the cost involved. But that's the only way we can carve out what our constitutional rights are. An act of Congress. Boy, Sheila, we already got an act of Congress. We've already got the Family First Act. We've already got it. It's in writing. Kinship navigation, right at the top of the list. I mean, there are like 5 things on their top hit list, and one of them was 12-month services prior to removal. Oh, violated that, didn't we? The second one is kinship care. Oh, we violated that, didn't we? And the others are not related to this case, but they're about groups home and teenage pregnancy. But they violated on Tuesday night 2 of the top hit things on the Family First Act. They flat out violated them. Violated them. Violated them. They don't care. They do not care. The Family First Act is a pain in the ass for them. They don't want to comply with it. The state legislators don't want to force them. Congress, now, somebody said it takes an act of Congress. Here's the next act of Congress we need. We need Congress to cut the money, cut the funding, cut the funding. Defund ASFA, number 1. Take this adoption bonus check off the heads of these poor kids that don't even realize what's going on. And then defund these states if they are not going to comply with the Family First Act. That's the only thing we can do. I will tell you, for example, Tennessee's DCS has an annual budget of $680 million a year. $305 million comes from the federal government. That's almost half of what they have to operate under. When the feds start cutting them off because they're not doing the Family First Act, then maybe we'll get some attention. Yeah, so let's talk about Vanderbilt. I just want to talk about Vanderbilt too, because this second baby, Lucy, was in Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt violated the child's HIPAA, violated the mother's HIPAA, and made a referral. And Vanderbilt gets $4.5 million every year from DCS. Vanderbilt Children's Hospital is complicit. They are absolutely complicit, okay? Oh my gosh, you can see my frustration is just like, it's horrible, right? But you know what? I just get up every day and I do it one more time. So they are selling the children. They're making money. It is a for-profit organization. It is a for-profit institution. I mean, I am loud and clear. And when I first said that they were doing it for money and doing it for profit, and DCS was making a profit, oh my gosh, the Tennessee General Assembly, like, well, they're not making any. They're not making money off of these children. I'm like, yes, they are. That is their business. That is their business. Yes, for kidnapping. I agree, Kimberly. Okay, so anonymous reporting, I absolutely agree, Ashley. Anonymous reporting needs to stop. All right, so I have just going to tell you a couple other things I've done. This is other stuff, because I always got other stuff going on. So I have connected with somebody who's a really good community organizer in the Nashville, Davidson County area, and he's connected me with some of his people. I had a great conversation on Friday afternoon with somebody. He's actually a college professor, but he's got a public relations background, and he has students. Oh, thank you, Sheila. He's got students that he might be able to generate a project, and because I said we need our narrative promoted. The narrative needs to be promoted in that the rehabilitation of families is so much more important. And I told them about our video Tuesday night, and I'm like, if you can put a poor starving puppy on the news and get millions of people to send in $12, then we need to show them stealing a baby. And somehow get the media out on that so that I can get more funds to support what I'm doing. Because I will tell you, I have a full-time practice. People call me a lot. Whenever I take on a case, just like the case I worked with this week, it is, I do it as a private practice attorney. That's my job. That is my job. I have bills. I have overhead. I have an office. I have to bill like a full-time private practicing attorney. But if I had the ability to alleviate some of those expenses, to be able to hire some people, to be able to still make a decent living at what I do, then I would happily move into doing this full-time and be on the phone basically 24/7, okay? Monday, I have a phone call set up with a state representative, and he represents a district in Tennessee that is primarily poor and black, but he understands that his population is targeted, as well as he understands rural areas where there's poverty as well, or low income, are also targeted. They have the same kind of problems, and that's where DCS is targeted. Plus, there's a lot of drug abuse and substance abuse in those areas as well, and that's a whole nother issue we need to work with. So I am going to look at, I've already put together one proposed legislation, and that proposed legislation, and this would be for Tennessee, so if you're not in Tennessee, you should look at what your state law is on this, and then maybe we can get this into your other state legislators. But in Tennessee, there is a law that once a case is involved, that a guardian ad litem is appointed, and a court-appointed special advocate called a CASA worker is appointed. And those CASA workers are geared towards what they call best interest of the child, which, you know, it's a very subjective of whoever they think is the best interest of the child. And sometimes I end up fighting against the CASA worker. But within that statute, I am asking for the court to appoint a court-appointed special advocate for family stability and reunification. And that would be CASA in Sullivan County is a joke. Yeah, and there's no accountability with CASA, none. I've tried to complain to CASA, and I tried to complain nationally, and they're like, you got to call the local office. There's even though they say they have standards for training, there's no standards. So I am, Charlene, I agree with that too. So there's no real standards for oversight of them. But I'm asking specifically that the court appoint basically a family advocate, and that they appoint that person upon the investigation, that they're appointed upon the investigation before anything else occurs, unless it's an absolute emergency. And that way the parent can be educated on the policies, the procedures, they can understand documentation, they can have somebody advocate for their family stability, for kinship placement. I mean, all of those things that really DCS should be doing, but they're not, and they won't, and they're lazy, and they're horrid, and they have attitudes, and they just treat people really bad. So I will tell you that, and the DCS worker that I saw on Tuesday night, and I told her, it's not her personally that I have any problems with, it's the way they do their job. And I also, when I was in Hickman County, there's a DCS worker out there, and he said he was called out in the video on Tuesday night, and he's a DCS worker I've worked with before. And I says, it's not you, it's what you guys do. Okay, it's not personal, it's what you do. So all that, and then one other little, so I'm working on all of that. So the legislation is to add and this is the only way I can think of, I created a whole family first state level family first act, and it's so comprehensive that when I take it to a legislator, they're like eyes roll in the back of their head and they don't know what to do about it. So I decided there's got to be another way. So let's create an avenue to get the Family First policy in the system through an advocate. So if y'all want to be advocates, you need to start thinking about it, because I've already got an advocacy program put together. I had my first plan put together, and it was on a computer, and that computer got stolen, so I had to start from scratch. But we will have, I have basically like a 16-module advocacy program, and people who will become involved right away, and look to understanding, helping parents to understand what their rights are within the system. Finally, on the last note, I have another case with a medical kidnapping, and I did not do an underlying trial, and somebody else did it, and it was against Vanderbilt, and the expert witness that the other attorney got was not very good. And this is a child with very complex medical history, very, very complex, and they terminated parental rights, and I was doing the appeal, and when I got a new expert involved, I was able to show that the child had very serious metabolic bone disease when he was very young, and it had not remedied, and had not all resolved by a few months later when they actually took him to the hospital on alleged abuse. So I've gotten the Court of Appeals to remand it back to the trial court, and then we will have a hearing in the trial court on that. So I get to take all that evidence to the trial court again. So yes, Tanya, yes, lobby the legislator, sponsor a bill on that, Connie. Okay, so I will take, you in the different states, unfortunately, every state law is a little different. In Tennessee, it's under 371149. I will post my state statute and my proposed changes to that statute, which includes the family advocate special appointment by the court. And then if you will all look in your laws, I mean, you need to do this fast because they go back into session in January. So if you will look into that very quickly, maybe we can get this in the hands of a few other states as well, okay? So I will post my change, and then you just, you take a look at where your state is. You have to find the statute that appoints the guardian ad litem and the CASA worker, okay? So look for those. All right, so finally then, do you need advocates in each state? I'm in Oklahoma. I'm always down to help. Okay, so Tessa, yes, thank you. And if you all will look at my Family Forward Foundation website, the one thing I did on there, I've got one section where I broke the country up into 6 sections. I think it's 6, yeah. So I broke the country up into 6 sections, and if you would look at those sections, what we're going to need to do is each state, some of the East Coast there's several states in it because they're smaller states, and we're going to need to have, like, each section is going to kind of have to get organized so that we can then start reaching down into each state to create LA laws, yeah, so that we can have a region, and then we can have the states, because the state laws are all different. Okay, so y'all think about that. You all work on that. I'm sorry I'm at home, and I've got grandchildren, and if any of you saw my post on my timeline last night, I had 4, me and 3 children in the bed, and obviously I was squeezed out of the bed by midnight and had to go find another bed in the house, but I'm pretty sleepy-eyed today. So God bless you all. Please just keep reaching out to people. And I want you to start thinking about how you can reach out on a local level as well. So, but let's talk about family advocacy as a law. Look at my Family Forward Foundation website, which is familyforwardfoundation.com. It is a .com, and I will actually put a link in this as well, so you can find it easily. And I'm getting contacts from people all over, and I can't keep track of all of those. So I need people to step up in each region and then step up in each state. Okay, I love you all. I love you. I do this for you. This is it. But hopefully we can together make a change. All right, God bless, and good afternoon, and have a good weekend. I hope it's not as rainy and stormy as it is here in Tennessee. All right, see you later. Love you. Bye.